since the story came out, there's been a wash of gratitude almost, that something like this has been brought out, because in many ways the stuff was known. Human rights groups have been trying to bring it out, civil society groups have been trying to bring it out, the victims themselves have been trying to bring it out. But it was always, to a certain extent, at the level of conjecture. More than that, it was always the opposing camp who was trying to, verify the fact that this has happened. At the same time, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of people who have been detracting from the investigation, and on several counts. One among them is the timing of the investigation, which is a really spurious thing to raise, because the timing of it, one, from a journalist's point of view, is not in one's control. This investigation was carried out over 6 months. It began utterly accidentally. The reporter was in fact investigating something else, also to do with the Sangh Parivar, because it was about the fracas over an art exhibition at Baroda University. And he met the accountant of Baroda University, who started speaking openly about how he had burned down Professor Bandukwala's house in 2002. The fact that it has come before an election is of absolutely no significance. We didn't intend it to, it so happened. Number two, democracy is not just about an electoral process. It is about having information, it's about transparency, and if it comes before an election, so be it. People need this information, they need to know who they are voting for, and we frankly don't care if Modi or Congress or who comes back into power. All that the investigation demands is justice. One, the TV channels have not shown the fact that Tehelka, in the magazine, has also, in the magazine done a 30-page story on the Godhra half of what happened in 2002. And a painstaking investigation there shows that, contrary to public opinion on both sides, it doesn't seem to be a premeditated act, neither by the Muslims nor by Modi, which also is a popular theory, that Modi himself contrived to have Sabarmati burnt. So our investigation shows that it was just an act of mob fury. But what our investigation does show is that post the burning of the train, the government has gone to great extremes to produce fake witnesses, to torture, to bribe, and skew the interpretation of what happened in Sabarmati, so that it can fit into their diabolic arguing that what happened in Gujarat was a reaction to what happened in Godhra. That is an untenable argument, What the Godhra investigation does show is, our investigation shows, is that the police case rests on 9 BJP members. Out of that, 2 of them are on the Tehelka tapes. They are presented as eyewitnesses. They are on the Tehelka tapes claiming that they were never there at the station that day. They were sleeping at home. The police filed statements in their name, and they went along, as they say, to serve the cause of Hindutva. What is this idea of Hindutva, They have identified 41 Muslims as being accused in burning the train. They weren't even there. 2 other crucial witnesses, the petrol pump men who claim that they sold 140 liters of petrol to Muslims on the evening of the Sabarmati train's arrival, are again 2 who are on the Tehelka tapes saying that they were bribed by the chief investigating officer, 50,000 rupees each, to change their testimony that they never sold petrol, and to say, they say that we didn't even know who we had to identify. He gave us a photograph and said, we have to identify these people, and that we sold 140 liters of petrol, all of which is a lie. Further, they have tortured people, coerced people, anybody reading the story will get that. So a lot of opinion on the internet which says, why have you investigated Gujarat, the killings of Muslims but not of Hindus, is one, we have investigated both segments of the story. Number two, this argument that why are you focusing on the Muslim killings, why not the Hindus, it is a mind-numbing argument, because if there were some people who did a criminal act in Godhra and they were Muslim, they should be punished. The entire might of the state should have gone into catching the guilty Muslims and punishing them. How does it translate into killing 2,500 Muslims because 59 Hindus burnt? Arrest the people who burnt the Hindus or burnt anybody, Hindu, Muslim, anyone, and treat them as criminals. But to have this action-reaction theory and for the internet to be buzzing with those theories shows, as I said, that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Modi is just the face of an extremely deep and extremely disturbing fault line in India. which is what makes this story so significant. The political establishment has been very disappointing. The Congress is almost absent from the story because they are too afraid. I mean, in many cases, they are the other face of the beast, you know. But public pressure is building up and has to build up. It should spill out into the streets, not as violence, not as Muslim violence against Hindu violence, but as public pressure, rallies, students out on the streets, just saying that we demand justice, you know. We demand democratic institutions to be healthy. You know, how you take it further is beyond a point, again in the hands of the institutions of a country, you know, which is the judiciary, it is the, you know, the police, it's political power, because beyond a point, the ordinary man cannot take law into his hands, you know. But what is very, very crucial is that public pressure and media pressure on this remains white hot high, because without that pressure, we know, and not just in Gujarat, but in endless cases, whether it was the Jessica Lal or anywhere, that the institutions of our country have begun to crumble, and they only act when under huge public pressure. So how the common man can take it forward is not to let this issue die down, not to polarize it between Hindu and Muslim. It is a shame to all of us as human beings, you know. It doesn't matter. This idea, I mean, just stop to think for a moment that if somebody killed somebody in Chandigarh and the entire state of Delhi colluded to kill me, my children, for people who I don't even know who committed a crime in Chandigarh, what does it mean? You know, how do Hindus or Muslims sit so comfortably with this idea of community versus community? At the heart of the idea for democracy is the idea of an individual. We are all individuals. This story is a shame for every individual, every right-thinking individual who values human life.